strategically. I can get it right. I'm gonna go where the winners go. 'Cause Ellen ain't an option, no. It ain't in my blood. All I do is try to come.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mondays Beyond the Mic. This is the place where we look at relationships to provide a better understanding for both men and women so we can learn and grow together. We like to say thank you for our regular viewers and welcome to our new viewers. So, hey, we like to ask that you like, share, and subscribe, as this one gesture means much to Mondays Beyond the Mic and Bravo with Sheila. And also, I need to know, we absolutely love super chats. What does a super chat mean? It means that when you give us a super chat, your comment is read first. So we do have some disclaimers. We're talking from our personal experiences. We also have some house rules, and they are respect, respect, respect. If disrespect is stated on the platform, the individuals will be silenced or removed from the show. So, with that being said, good evening and happy Monday, Lady Dawn B. How are you?
I am great. I am glad that Monday is done. We are one day closer to Friday. I'm here for it. How are you?
I'm good. I am good. And I'm glad it didn't take 10 business days for me to be okay.
Me too. Me too. But I'm glad you got your receipt just in case. Just in case.
If you are joining us for the first time, you have no idea what we're talking about. That means you need to go back and watch part two of this particular episode. So tonight, we're hoping that part three will be the finale of Fighting Fair, as this is what we have been discussing for the past 2 weeks, where we thought this was going to be only a two-part series. It has now turned into a three-part. It may be a trilogy. We're not sure what's going to happen on Mondays Beyond the Mic. Who knows? But we do have some guests, so let's just begin to welcome our guests in.
All right. Where am I at? Where am I at? Here we go.
So, hi, Lisa. How are you?
I'm
So we
good,
have
thank
some,
you.
yes, we have some guests I met in our chat. So to say hello to our people who are saying
Oh,
hello, because they're talking in the chat. They are talking
you.
in the chat.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, Elaine. She says, hey at Bravo with Sheila Network. And we thank you for being the best moderator in these YouTube streets. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Nay is the best.
Marilyn Jackson said, good evening, beautiful ladies. We'll take that any day. Good evening.
Hey, sis. Good to see you.
And Kathy said, good evening, all. Thank you, Kathy, for always watching. And Steph, we don't call her Stephanie. She's Steph. Good evening, ladies. And thank you, Stephanie, for always watching. And Mama Rose, she said, good evening, ladies. Just wanted to drop by to wish you a great show as always. Mama says she got homework. It's not an option. Okay.
That's good. Get that doctorate, young lady. Hi, mommy. She working.
Let's
She
not
working.
understand. Hey, my sis, my baby sis, Tamika. Hey, Dr. Quick. She said, good evening, ladies.
Hey, sis.
And Katoya, she said, good evening, queens. Welcome and thank you for joining the show. All right. I think we have said hello to everyone in the chat right now, but we're going to just go in as we've been talking about fighting fair in relationships. Lady Dawn B, you want to take it away?
Sure. Let's see. Where were we at now?
We wanted to know, what
Go
does it
back to
mean
what
to
does it
fight
mean?
fair?
All right.
Yes.
Bear with us today. It's Monday. We getting it together, y'all. So, what does it mean to fight fair? Learning how to fight fair during a conflict so both people feel respected, heard, and valued as a member of the couple, family, friendship, etc., is crucial to build trust, motivate people to maintain the relationship, and help deal with relationship conflict and keep the relationship intact. That's major. If you don't fight fair, emotional pain, distrust, and other complex emotions may result in the termination of the relationship. Hmm. What say you,
All
Dr.
right.
E?
Well, I say definitely we have to learn how to fight fair as we've been trying to get through this series. But you know what I want to do? I want to yield to, I guess, Lisa, and as Lisa, she has. We'll talk about this maybe a little later in the show about mental fitness, and she can talk about what she does. But what do you think about this? What Lady Dawn B just read?
Hi, ladies, and thank you so much for having me on. And hello from the back roads of Louisiana. Um, so, for me, fighting fair is really about giving somebody their space to be able to really process those emotions that they're going through before we interject our own. And also to look at how we react to fighting. Are we looking for comfort or are we looking to comfort our loved one? And the other thing for me about fighting fair is, are you burning it down or building it up?
Oh, I like that. Are you
That's
setting the
gorgeous.
house on fire or are you building it brick by brick? So I love it. So
Mhm.
let's
Yeah.
go into the 16 fair fighting rules. At least we got this far, Lady Toynbee. Rules are guides for fighting fair, may help you come away from an argument or conflict with a better understanding of yourself, of the other person, and both the goals and needs. Rules include things like open, being open, staying focused, and sharing your emotions. Now, let me let you know that this is coming from therapy.com. So we did not just make this up. So it's actually coming from, and let me make sure I have the correct so I can tell everyone. Um, choosingtherapy.com. This is where this comes from. So in this, it said there are 16 rules of fighting fair, and what we will talk about is stay focused on the issue at hand. So that's number one. We have to stay focused on the issue at hand. When an issue is escalating, try to keep your discussion streamlined. I know that's hard, ladies. Doing so minimizes the likelihood that you will bring non related issues into the conversation, which can only lead to further distress and irritation. By not bringing up past hurts, conflicts, you give yourself a better chance of resolving the current issue and moving forward with your future. What say ye, ladies? What do
I'm
you
gonna yield.
think?
I'm gonna yield to our guests first.
Oh,
Lisa?
so I think that's such an important point to make sure you finish the argument or disagreement or conversation that you're having to the satisfaction of both people. So at the end of that conversation, do you feel like you've been heard? Do you feel like this is resolved? Do we still have things we need to talk about so that you can actually move on and put it behind you?
Okay, I
I,
like it.
I agree. I agree. I think that we get so caught up in the fight and wanting to be right that we tend to use everything that we always wanted to say but never said, in that moment. So you're no longer fighting or discussing this issue. You're talking about every other thing that ever happened, and we're evading the issue. And so it's important that we maintain that and that people don't feel offended when someone is saying to you, but that's not what we're talking about right now. But that's not what we're talking
Mhm.
about right now. We have to be
Mhm.
open for that. So I agree. It's important to stay focused on that particular issue.
Okay. All right. So let's go about number 2. It says talk openly about the problem. Shutting down, not fully engaging with the other person, not devoting sufficient time to the matter won't lead to a resolution. Making sure you give enough time and space to talk through the problem so everyone feels heard, respected, valued, and supported. Ooh, I that's an ouch for me because I'm gonna say I used to be the shutdown person. Like that's it. I don't want to talk. I'm done. What about you, ladies?
I'm reformed, as you all know. There's reformation time for me. Um, so I work my best not to shut down anymore. I've learned to sit in it. I've learned to sit in it and like, okay, I just got to sit here until. But yeah, no, that is a good thing about talking openly. And then I've learned to, if this is what I feel, I just like, have to say what it is that I feel. Let me be honest about it. Because oftentimes when we curb our words, we're not giving the full scope of how we feel. So then we're leaving residue later on for something else to continue to linger. So, and that's my,
Okay.
we
I
haven't.
tend I tend to avoid conflict. I'm it's tough for me. I really find it hard to say something to somebody that I can't take back. So I really take a little bit of time just to sit there and think it through. And I've learned, and it wasn't always the way in relationships, but I have learned to let that person process as well. And but have the expectation that they do talk to me when they've processed it. And again, as you said, don't take forever to do it, but process it, don't sit in it, and then I've got to be a safe space for you to be able to come in and tell me what's going on with you. And I've got to feel safe in your confidence and in your heart to be able to come to you as well, because we've all been burned and it's really hard to come back from that. So for me, I've learned, once I hit 50, I sort of started learning that taking your time is a graceful way of doing things, because I never had that luxury before. It was always survival mode.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I think again, even the point of this show and this platform is to help us be better as we
Mhm.
are in relationships, whether it is a marital relationship, a courting relationship, your friendships, your work relationships. How do you handle conflict and how are you able to fight fair? I do believe we have another guest waiting to come up. Um, and we want to get to a clip. We're going to get to a clip. Hey, my cousin, how are you?
Hey, cuz, how you guys? How's everybody?
Hey,
Can
Terrence.
everybody hear me?
Yep.
Are
Yes.
you awesome, awesome, awesome. How you
So
ladies doing today?
we are,
Still reform,
I'm well.
You
Good.
still reform?
still reform, still reform, still reforming.
I like that. I like that.
Just cover your chin. Cover your chin.
My
Yeah, you
my
guys know I gotta cover my jaw. Make sure she don't tap the jaw. I gotta do
This
that.
is the bottom part. Just a little, make your teeth clench just a little together. Just
So tonight we're going to get to the clip. So this is the part where we're going to show a clip and then we're going to watch it and discuss the clip when we come back. So
Okay.
okay.
let's go.
Now let's see.
The problem. Can we make your
There with us.
relationship
We
more
are
important than the argument? If we're going to fight,
StreamYard
ladies
seems
and
to be
gentlemen, we start fighting and we start fighting to get along. Can we say out loud, I want to get on with you. I want you. I with you. In fact, do this right now. Look at your partner. Y'all say together, I want peace with you.
Okay. From what we can hear, because I don't know what's going on with StreamYard right now, but what did you think? Or you know what? Can we show the clip again? Let's just see if maybe it'll come through better.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to wait 7 to 10 business days. I'm not sure.
At least 3 to 5 at this point.
Post office for you. No, yeah, that's how we do.
It's
For
so big.
unity.
It is
Can we
not that this the wonderful world of
somehow
technology. Let's
make
see.
it more important than the problem? Can we make your relationship more important? Ladies and gentlemen, can we start fighting for unity? Can we start fighting to get along? Can we say out peace with you? I want to do life with you. In fact, do this right now. Look at your partner. Y'all say together, I want peace with you.
All right. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts
So
on that?
he's saying he just want peace in a relationship, which is how it should be, but in reality, that doesn't go that way. And how I like to say, in coming from the street life, that doesn't really work that way. But no, as Lisa did say, as you get older, you tend to want peace. As you get older, you don't want to be arguing, bickering back and forth, unless that's your dynamic of your relationship. In some cases that works, some cases don't. But I know that's something I don't want. I like to have peace.
Okay. All right. Lisa?
I heard when he said, "Are we fighting for unity, or are we fighting for the disagreement?" And I like that. Like, if fighting for unity to me is representative of building the house brick by brick, as you said, as opposed to burning it down. So I like that, and that's something really to think about. Is your argument bettering your relationship? Are you having a discussion over something that's important, or are you having a discussion over something that's really petty and you keep bringing it up? um, and what level of a relationship are you looking for? If you want a good, healthy, deep relationship that's really comforting to your soul and is really nurturing of what you need and desire in your life, then you will have those deeper discussions that are really complicated and are hard to have, but necessary. And if you're just in it for different reasons, it's just a brief relationship, then maybe you're not going to have those. You're just going to want your peace, and you're going to want to not argue and say, "Hey, listen, this is all I'm capable of giving right now." But be honest. Wherever you're at, if they're willing to meet you where you're at, then that's where you're at. But be open and honest about what you're looking for.
I love it. Lady Darby?
I loved what he said. It's a different concept for me, but I get it. It's about fighting to get along. We fight for so many things. And I think that if we're going to fight, I know at this big old age, y'all know how I say, I don't want to fight. I don't want to put in effort to fight for something for us to part ways. I want to be in the fight. Like, if we're going to fight, I love that he said we're fighting to stay together. Because the motivation behind this discussion means that even though if I don't like what you're saying, I'm not leaving. Even though if when I realize where I have to make some changes, I'm in it, for the long haul to make those changes so that we can get to that place where we are staying together. Not that the problem is bigger than who we are and what we have, but I value you. I love you. I care for you enough that I want to stay. No, if I got to fight with anybody, I want to fight for you, with you. It made me think of something that I used to say. I hadn't said in a long time, but sometimes you're in a relationship with someone and you say, I used to say, I used to tell my son, I will fight you for you. I will fight with you through what you have to go through within yourself for you, because you are what and who I want. So that's my fight. So that's what made me think about it. But I like what he said, fighting to get along.
I love that. fight you for you.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's some
When
love.
I,
Red flag.
you notice she said I haven't said it in a long time. Um, with I like the fact that when he talked about, you want to fight for the relationship, and I think so many times because of our own egos, we're like, I'm not doing this. And I don't know how many times we've said, I'm not doing this with someone. And because we didn't really want to sit in our feelings of like, I really want to be with you, but I don't know how to fight with you for us.
Yes.
Hmm.
And
That's
I
a good
think
one.
we don't use our words, or we don't give ourselves permission to have the language to say the things that we really mean and what we really want to say. But we feel like, well, if I say this, and I'm going to take something that Terrence said, depending on where you've grown up, like, you don't do that. You're not. So now you have all of these things from your past, these barriers that you have put up that will stop you from saying to the person that you are in love with or in relationship with, to be able to say, I don't want to fight with you. And you don't have to look soft, or you don't have to, like, we put up all of these masks so that we won't get hurt, but at the same token, we don't open ourselves up for what we really want. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Yeah.
True. That's
Absolutely.
true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny because
And I,
I
So I
saw
know.
a comment yesterday on Facebook, and a lady said, it was something about like a guy was cheating on his wife or something, and she said in the comment, she said, when you argue, that means you want to be in a relationship. I kind of, I was like, wow, I never thought about it that way for some reason. But when she said it, it was like people who argue once they want to be in that relationship, but not in a bad way, like because to fix things up. I was like, I never thought about it that way. Like, yeah, people who do argue, they tend to stay with each other, like to fix things
Yeah,
up,
well,
to patch it out.
no, I agree with that. I know we want to go to some comments. I think one of the things when we look at that is, I can say for women, when we're still talking, we still care. When we stop talking, we don't care what we
We
like,
don't care. Yeah.
have at
Yeah.
it. We don't even care. We have moved on. We may physically still be there, but
Mentally, you
mentally,
checked out.
we
You
have
checked out.
yeah, we've checked out. So they say
Yeah.
anyone who's gotten a divorce, I'm a divorce, I've been divorced. I got divorced 14 years in, year 14, but I had checked out year 11.
Okay.
So when people say, you go like, whatever, yeah, I was still there, I was still going, but I had mentally checked out.
Hmm.
Mm,
So
okay.
it didn't matter. It didn't matter what he could have said. It didn't matter. Okay, sure, fine. Because those feelings that I once had, I
It's
didn't care
gone.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when she's still trying to argue with you, there is still
mhm.
something. When she's just
Yeah.
like, if you like it, I love it.
Yeah.
But be cautious on the type of
She's
arguing you do, because if it's mean and argumentative to be vindictive, that's different to fighting for, I will fight you because I love you. So
right.
I'll fight you for you, as Lady Dawn said. Fight you for you is completely different to I'm fighting you because I'm pissed off and I'm angry and I don't like you and I'm going to say all these mean horrible words. Fighting fair is really being deep about that person and intentional with that person that you're with. So be cautious of how you're fighting. If you're going to fight for somebody because you care
Yeah, I
about them,
agree.
don't make it mean. Stay kind because you can't take things back.
Absolutely. And we said this before, words hurt. And
That's
that's
Hmm.
why,
true.
to me, one of the importance of doing this show and shows like this is to teach us, because we've learned a lot of bad behavior. Now let's unlearn what we've learned and say, how can I move forward? Because there are people, they've been married for years and they still don't know how to fight fair. They just know how to exist in each other's
Together, yeah.
space. But
Space.
being able to say, we could have a healthy conversation, we can have a healthy argument, um, is a mature way to say, this is what I did not like, this is what I did like, and when you do this, it makes me feel. A lot of times we don't say that. A lot of
Hmm.
times we just, we'll
Attack
hold
mode.
it, hold it, hold it, and then all at once. You get everything you've done from the day we met you to 10 years later.
Oh yeah.
And that's
Right.
unfair to the person because they can't talk about all of those things at once. And as we read earlier, whatever the thing is that we're talking about or having a heated discussion, fellowship, that is the thing. We're not going to talk about what happened 2 weeks ago that you did not bring up. We're talking about this topic and this topic only.
Mm-hmm.
I see we have some people in the chat. So I don't know if we can pull up some chat. Lady Dawn B, I don't know if you're frozen. I think she's frozen.
I see it move a little bit.
Yeah, I know she said her
I
Wi-Fi.
agree.
Okay.
Can we have some
Yeah, I'm back.
chat?
I'm back. I
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
yes, we
So, hey, sister in love. That's my sister-in-law. She says she's watching. Tamika, she said, set boundaries, find peace by Nidra Glover Tawabi. Shares the importance of us telling how we are feeling and the importance of understanding that people can't read minds, so they need to know what bothers you. And I agree with that. We
True.
expect people, you should know. No, they should not know. You should tell them.
That's a good
right
one.
Okay.
that part.
Roderick, hi Roderick. He says life is too short not to have peace. I totally agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's all we say.
Hey there, my guy.
Steph says there may be one person that will fight harder than the other. So if the same amount of effort isn't there, then what? Hmm. I think, but you still need to have that honest conversation
Mm-hmm.
and not put up the shield. Because if you're not having that honest conversation, at least if it doesn't work, you are able to say, this is how I feel. And that person knows.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, everybody is not going to be our one or our fit. But I think that it's almost, and I don't want to use this, well, I am going to say it's almost like a practice until to your person comes, right? Because when you get in a
Yeah.
relationship, I don't think anyone says, you know what, like I said, I got married. I didn't get married and be like, in 14 years, we're going to be apart. That wasn't it. But
Mm-hmm.
I take the lessons that I learned from those 14 years and think, how do I apply it to my next relationship that it makes me better? Again, not bitter, but it makes me better. And what did I learn that I did not know before? And now what are the tools that I have through watching Mondays Beyond the Mic that I can now take into
Nice.
this new relationship? Or maybe you're in your current relationship and say, yeah, you know what? We fight this way. Now let's change the way we're doing this.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
true.
maybe check
I
in with
hope that
each
helps.
other on a regular basis of taking each other's pulse of like, hey, listen, are we fighting? Are we resolution? Getting resolution from our conversations, or do we need to change this up a little because either you're not feeling heard or I'm not feeling heard, or is how I'm reacting to you making you withdraw, or am I withdrawing? I think it's constantly, because as you grow in a relationship, your relationship changes. The very beginning's the honeymoon, and then then you fall into this pattern, and then you've got to figure out, okay, well, how do we argue together? And if you haven't had those conversations of like what works for you and what doesn't work for you, again, as you say, you can't change minds. And if one person is consistently fighting harder than the other, then is that the relationship you want to stay in? Or
Mm-hmm.
you bring that up to somebody and they say, well, no, I'm not fighting as hard as I want to or should. Is that something they need to work on, or as a couple, or are they checking out? Like, just constantly take the pulse of the person you love. And that could be any relationship, friendships, with your children, with your partner, with a coworker. Check in with people, because sometimes people are going through things and you're not exactly sure what's going on. And checking in is a way of showing you care as well. And it's fighting fair because hey, this is my expectation. I love the setting boundaries. That's a great book.
Right.
I would just add
Okay.
one thing to kind of I think okay. So comparison is the thief of joy. I
Mhm.
wanna start there. And I'm saying that because when we're with this statement, we have to be very careful about how we're assessing a situation. While Stephanie, you making a very great point, I just want to go. Y'all know me. I'll go to the left a little bit. But you said there may be one person that will fight harder than the other. So this gets into a space of us comparing how we fight. You may be more passionate about this issue than the other person is, and they're going to
That's
be more
true.
passionate about some other issues. So when we are putting ourselves in this space where you don't feel like, well, you're not fighting for us as hard as I'm fighting for us, that may not be true.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be willing to assess properly where a person is coming from in this particular situation. And while, yeah, if someone, I feel like if one person is fighting harder than the other, then you're in the wrong relationship. That's
Right.
just how I feel. Then what are we here for? What is your motives? If you're getting, I'm fighting from the emotional space of I love you, and you're fighting from the natural space of I need what you have. You know what I'm saying? So it you really have to be careful about how we assess where we're at in the spaces of us making, this statement, which is fine. Another person, I'm just saying, just from the other side of it, I've learned not to compare how much, because then it turns into so what are you saying? So you saying I don't care as much as you do, because this isn't my hot issue. This is your hot issue. So we just have to really be mindful sometimes. You said, so if the same amount of effort isn't there, then what? You need to have a conversation again about whose issue is this. What may be a big deal to you may not be a big deal to me. While I can respect that it's a big deal for you, it doesn't mean I'm going to show up as passionately about it and argue or discuss or have heated fellowship, but I will show genuine compassion to what you're saying. So I just wanted to add that in there.
Yeah, I agree. I
Oh,
remember.
and Michael McDonald. Oh, go ahead.
I remember one of
Go
my
ahead.
ex girlfriends. We first started dating. I think we was like 2 months in. She's like, "Hey, I'm gonna take you to see this off Broadway play," and the title of the Broadway play was "Now That You Love Me, Now Change." And I remember, like, I remember when I went to the Broadway play. Every guy in it was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure you didn't buy this ticket." I was like, "Yeah, clearly nobody, no man in here bought these tickets." It's like, but it was a pretty cute play. But it was like, "Yeah, now you love me, now change," and every man was like, "Yeah, I don't think any of us bought these tickets." But the play was pretty cute. But yes, it was about. And there's definitely about when you get in a relationship, how you do bend to certain degrees. But yeah, it was definitely a pretty cute play that I recommend people go see. I don't know if it's still around anymore, but yeah,
Well,
but I
it
do remember
obviously
her.
stayed with you.
Yeah, 'cause I remember I was like, "Why am I here?" I was like, every guy was like, "Why are we here?" It was like, "Okay, we get it now. We get it."
Like, aha.
And
So Michael McDonald says, that's a form of cheating, Elaine, checking out 3 years mentally. I don't think it was a form of cheating. I don't
uh,
understand. I just checked out mentally because I knew that there was no resolve.
uh,
So if you go to counseling, you do all of those things, and there is no resolve to the issue on both parties, it's like, okay. So I don't see it that way, but sir, you are definitely entitled to your opinion.
true.
Maybe he's referring to or taking it from the perspective, and I by no means can speak for Mr. Michael, but listening to it and understanding, maybe saying in the sense of when we emotionally check out, we're abandoning that person emotionally.
Mhm,
I wouldn't define it as cheating. I would define it, for me, it would be emotional abandonment moreover than cheating. It's not like I'm
Oh,
not being emotional towards you. My affections are set in towards someone else. Then that I think
right.
would be emotional cheating. I think it would be, to
Yes.
me, it just sounds more like the abandonment part of it. Again,
Now I
and I
would
could
go
be
with
wrong.
that because definitely not cheating, and to your point, it wasn't like, oh, okay, I checked out of this relationship to be in this relationship.
No,
No, I
yeah.
just checked out because I knew we weren't going any further. And but for any, you think about relationships you've been in before you
Yeah.
someone pulled the plug, or even if it was
Yeah.
dating, even at
You know
work,
when it's over. Yeah. You
there's
definitely know when
times
it's
we
over.
we
Yeah.
just like, okay, I'm gonna push
Yeah.
these papers around until
Yeah. Until I'm
because
ready to
I'm
get out of
leaving.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
You basically
um
skate.
so
You basically skating on thin ice. Like, yeah, one more slip up and I'm out the door. Like, because I'm already out. But you need one more thing to say to me I
yeah.
don't like. Is
Right.
one
I'm
just
already not.
please one more thing. Like,
it's,
I'm not
it's
doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so to me, it was checking out. Hey, William Michael Barbie said, "Good evening, family."
Hey,
Evening,
that's
Mo.
good.
Evening,
Hi.
William.
And then he says, "She's not frozen. She's thinking."
This is what we're doing already. This is what this is. Hi, William Michael Barbie. You are the best, sir. Just the greatest.
And then he says, "Lady Dawn, that's a great point on perspectives of one's contribution into the relationship." So yes, you know, and
Look at us getting along. Look at us.
right. Let's
Getting
see how long
somewhere.
it lasts.
Getting
Michael
somewhere.
Michael McDonald says, "But did you tell him?" Um, did I tell him I was checked out? Yes, I actually did. But you have to be willing to listen.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And sometimes what happens with individuals, it could be male or female, you can just think that a person's setup looks so great that why would you leave and where will you go get what I give you? When someone's earlier, it was Roderick or that said, your peace is worth so much more than material things.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So the
Yeah.
answer is yes. So I
That's
was
true.
willing to throw away everything else. Absolutely. I was definitely emotionally unavailable
Hmm.
Hmm.
because, yes, I'm just going to say yes.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's it. I love your
Yeah.
reformation.
Any relationship that's not healthy is not worth staying in. I don't care how long you've been together.
Yeah.
It's not healthy for your body. If it's not healthy, it's not a healthy relationship. It's not healthy, like for your mental and physical. So it's always good
Yeah.
to depart. No, that's how I see it.
And I think as we get
Hey,
older, we
Thea.
start doing that as well. We start recognizing that it's taking,
A toll, taking a toll
I
on
don't
you.
need to do this as long anymore as I did when I was
Yeah,
younger. I don't need to hang around as long because now I can articulate what I need. And I guess that's the wisdom of getting older and listening to other people's wisdom as well as the wisdom that you're starting to gain yourself.
yeah. Okay.
Yes. Good evening, Theo.
Hey, sis.
William Michael Barbie said, "Did you seek counseling before you checked out?" Yes, we had like 4 to 5 different counselors, couples, and each time the person did not agree, we switched counselors,
Mhm.
which was saying, and ultimately I ended up saying, and you may have heard me say this before, you don't want change. You want someone to tell me I'm wrong. And the
Yeah.
counselors kept saying, but I see her point. I see her point. And I was like, this is not about us changing. This is about someone telling me I'm wrong. And
Yeah.
when that never happened in the sessions, we found a new counselor. So we were at Christian counselors, non-Christian counselors, you name it, we sat in
Mhm.
front of them and the same story was told.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
No, that's the whole point. At least you
Okay.
tried. As they say, you tried. Like, listen, I tried. Like you always say that in relationships when people break up, it's like, hey, I gave my best foot forward. I tried, but it didn't work out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, Corey. Corey said there is no time when checking out. Some might take 3 months is based on the relationship. And I
Yeah.
agree. I think mine
That's
took
true.
3 years because I had 3 children and I kept
Hmm.
trying to figure out, I came from a household where my parents were married until death did them part. So for me, I was trying to like, no, no, hold on. But I said, no, loving you is hurting me.
Hmm.
And
Exactly.
to that point, I had to learn, I had to love me first
Hmm.
and realize that my children would be okay, even if. But those tools, I go back to what I said earlier, the tools that I've learned in there, I would never take, I would never, I know a difference in different things to look for now that I did not have when I was 26, when I got married. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I've evolved so many times into a different version that even having these healthy conversations and being able to admit, well, you know what, hey, I would never do that again. Or let me learn how to express how I feel. If I need a hug, I'm going to say, I need a hug, opposed
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
just coming close to you thinking you should
Yeah.
know, if I walk this close to you, I need a hug. You
Exactly. That's
know,
Yeah.
true.
picking up the phone and saying, hey, I just need you to say you love me, and
Mhm.
being okay with saying it opposed to waiting for someone. And if they don't do it, I have an attitude because you didn't call and tell me you love me today, you know.
Mhm.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, people do that. Yeah, people do expect you to. People in relationships, people expect you to be what you think they are, but like like you got to communicate with me. Not everybody's open. Not everybody's sensitive. Not everybody's affectionate. Like you said, simple. Say, hey, I need a hug. Hey, how you doing? Are you okay? You need anything? Like just checking in.
Mm-hmm.
Checking in goes a long way, especially that goes for relationships, whether it's friendship,
Yeah.
marriage, or like with your buddies. Even when my boys, we make sure we text each other. Hey, how you doing? How's everything? It can be a simple, simple text. Hey, is everything okay? You need me? And something simple as that goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
love it. So, what we're going to do, because oh, Michael McDonald, he says, yes, Dawn B, but do you inform the person that you checked out? You have to inform the next person you checked out. If you if you don't, you're cheating in the relationship.
No, I understand. I understand what you were saying. From that perspective, I'm saying, everybody doesn't see it in that way, and that's why I was saying, you're bringing up the point of when it becomes emotional cheating is when I have actually connected my emotions to another person over you.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
the cheating is when I cross the line and I violate our commitment. I'm not saying that it's okay in any case, because I've emotionally well, again, transparent moment. And be honest, I'm reformed now. I'm reformed, but I've been in some relationships where I entered into them, unemotionally available. I was not available emotionally.
Yeah,
I
that's
enjoyed your
cool.
company. We have a good time. We do great things. But when it comes to the emotional side, then you want to start pulling on my feelings, and I would be out. I would be like, no, I can't do that. I can't. I'm not here for that. Let's have a great night and go home.
That's true.
Um,
I agree with you.
but when I'm being honest, and I think if we've been honest, we've all been there. There are those, I feel like, those platonic relationships that have the potential to be romantic, but we don't allow them to. So I totally understand the perspective you're coming from, Mike. And that's true. And you should be able to communicate with that person that, hey, listen, I'm starting to feel this way. My feelings are changing, and here's why. Here's what's making me feel this way. But I think that we also have to be willing to be open enough to hear it. If I'm giving you that information, then I need for you to do more than just say, okay, I hear you, you know, noted, and nothing changes. We need to find a resolve for it. Um, Otherwise, it will turn into emotional cheating. But I do totally understand, where you're coming from. And I can agree how that can be to some emotional cheating because you have disconnected yourself from who you're with. So I love that.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So, we're going to get ready for the next clip. We're going to work through these clips. We may not get to
Uh,
all. Well, you know what, Lady Dawn, you want to read the next 2 points before we get to the clip?
Sure. I think we kind of touched on this too. The third was share your feelings and emotions. Are you angry, sad, lonely? Tell the other person, as Mike was saying, tell the other person how you are feeling. This promotes emotional intimacy and bonding. Showing vulnerability will keep you from becoming closed off from one another. So that kind of falls in line with what Mike was saying about, do you tell the other person? Did you inform them?
In my case, I definitely did. So,
That's good.
and at that
I
point, I
I
left
find
it
it
right there.
sorry.
Go
I
ahead,
find it
Lisa.
easier to navigate a relationship when somebody says, "I'm really mad at you right now." And that gives me the opportunity to say, "Okay, let me reassess what I've done. Let me look at what I've done to cause that." And hopefully when they've settled down or calmed down or processed it themselves, then we have a conversation about it. And people do get mad, and people do get angry and upset and pissed off, and you do want to say things that you don't want to say out loud too often because you can't take them back, but have that conversation, say it, but don't be mean about it again. Don't be mean. But I think if I respect it more if somebody's emotionally vulnerable enough to say to me, "I'm mad at you." That to me, I need to know where I stand, and I appreciate that. And if somebody says to me, "I need time," I give them that time because I feel like they need to be able to articulate what they're mad about.
But
I
not
love
8 to 10 business, right?
No.
Not
Yeah.
that.
Not 8 to 10 business days. They need like 3 days. Is that we give them a 3 day? We figure
70.
Jesus rose in three.
I think it depends on how the communication is, right? So if you've got somebody that's like, "Hey, we can communicate, but I only am ready to communicate once a week or by text only. I don't want to have a phone call, or I want," let them process it the way they need to process it. If they're communicating at all, it's good, but let them process it the way
Okay.
they need to. But also say what you need as well. "Oh, I need, I'm checking in. Yes, I'm checking in. I'm going to continually check in with you. And when you're ready to let me know what's going on, but don't ghost. Ghosting's immature."
Hmm. I can agree with that because you want the
Absolutely.
person to show up. You want them to be present.
Right.
So, well, as much as you're willing to share, I'm willing to listen because we're not going to conquer it all at one time in one night. But at
Right.
least let's start.
And again, as I said before, are you pressing them to tell you what's wrong because you need comfort or because they need to process it? Like, what is your motivation for pressing for an answer straight away?
Right. Right. I love it. I love it. I just want to say for those that are watching, if you can please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And again, we love super chat. So if you give us a super chat, we will read your comment first. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. We still didn't get to the 16, but what we're going to do is get to this clip.
Okay, so we're going to go to the next clip. Where are we at?
Foremost, you have to remember that you are not the problem and your partner is not the problem. The problem is the problem. And it's up to the two of you to work together on the same team in order to resolve that problem. Secondly, what's important, you cannot win a battle without losing the war. The minute that you were pitted against your partner in a conflict, if you won, that means they lost and ultimately your relationship loses. So you never, ever want to be in that position.
All right.
Okay.
So,
And do you want me to the next one?
no, we're good.
Okay.
So let's just think about this. Do we want, in her saying, do we want to win the battle and lose the war in a relationship? And I think that is where we need to set focus. Like, I'm a person that I want to see the end, right? Like, I like work my way backwards. Tell me the point of the story. So if I'm going to get into a relationship with you, is not for a short moment. I want to be in for the long haul. I want you to be my best friend. I want you to be the person that I can, excuse me, have conversations with and find you as my comfort zone versus I
Mhm.
don't know if I can share this with him. I don't know if I can trust him with this. And whatever your intentions are, let's be honest up front, because I think a lot of times people say, "Oh, like if someone's, let's see where this goes." Then the intentions is kind of like, see,
Yeah,
what does
yeah.
that mean? What does that mean for a man if he says, "Let's see where this goes"? We're about to go into another realm. But go ahead.
Yeah,
That
well, I
that's
guess, I guess, I guess he's just trying to feel you out. Me trying to feel like, is this gonna work or is it not gonna work? Because he don't like he's kind of skeptical about it. That's what it means when a guy says that. Like he's just skeptical. Like, hey, let's see how this goes. Because I want to get a relationship with you, but I don't know if you want to get a relationship. So that once again comes to
Okay.
communication, but also gets, to the point where are we compatible? Like, are we gonna get along with each other? Because the
Hmm.
exterior part might look nice, like everything might look good, but it's like, yeah, probably the interior might not be what I want. It's like, yeah. So which happens a lot in relationships. A lot of people date because like over looks or like you said, material stuff. So you might get in a relationship like, yeah, the outside looks great, but the person inside is just hard. But I've been with people, their inside was just nasty. You're just a nasty person. It's like, and he's like, yeah, this is not gonna work. So I guess that's where when guys say that, it's from our past relationships of getting relationships thinking that, hey, this would be great, this would be my girlfriend, and come find out like she was like a witch. She's like, yeah, I can't do this. She's like, no. So that's why guys say that.
Well, thank you for helping us
Wicked to
out.
the east or west.
Okay. Okay, the East
Yeah.
and the West. She's taking over
Yeah.
all territory.
Take
All
all
right.
territories.
Uh, so, Lady Don B. Lisa, what are your thoughts on the clip?
Go ahead, Lady Dawn.
well, I'm a big stickler for, my saying of, do you want to get it right or do you want to be right?
Mm-hmm.
You really have to choose, and that was something that I had to learn. I learned that lesson, I would say, the hard way when I was married. I was right a lot of times. However, the way I was right was completely wrong. I was, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
reformed now. I'm reformed. Um,
Yeah.
and I wasn't looking at it at the point of trying to make sure that I preserved my marriage. I was looking at it from the perspective of, I know I'm right. I want you to acknowledge that I'm right, because I needed to be validated. I just was like, that was more important to me in that moment, because that let me know that you heard me. And it took me a while, and through my therapy, I realized that, I wasn't trying to damage my marriage or, my husband at the time. It was coming from a place of feeling unheard. So a lot of times when we don't feel heard and we don't feel like our message is received, we show up in our spaces, and we fight in that way just
Mm.
to be right. So we have to be mindful of the perspective, that we're coming from. Um, and the end result should be, I want resolve and I want you. I shouldn't have to choose. I'm in the season of, it's all or nothing, and nothing is not an option. And that's how I feel about everything that I am, going into. And even in relationship, it is for me all or nothing. Like, we gonna have to figure it out from the inside, you know,
Mm.
and then work it from there. But that's my take on it. So what about you, Lisa?
I think setting intention is really important from the beginning, as Dr. Elaine said. Set your intention from the beginning of what you're looking for and be honest about that from the beginning. Because if you're not aligned from the very beginning, you're constantly going to be in battles. And it's
Mm-hmm.
okay. It's I'm a grown up. It's okay to tell me, hey, listen, this is not what this is what I want. I just want casual catch ups. If that's not what I want, I'm not going to engage in it. And that's okay. But say that up front, as opposed to saying it, 5, 6, 7 months down the line. And then you're in a relationship where one person feels like they're in a relationship and the other person doesn't. So define what a relationship means to you and set your intention of, I want to be in the relationship. And do you want to be in that relationship? And if you both agree, then you shouldn't be having battles, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't want there to be a war. I don't want to win the war. I just don't want there to be one. That's exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Indeed,
I
I agree.
I again, There are 16, so I want to run through, and I'm not going to give you all 16, and it's not going to be a part four, I can promise you. Um, is one is another one is respect the other person's perspective. The other one is to reach a compromise or solve or problem solve to find a solution together. And I know we're not going to unpack all of these. Number 7 is to be open about your needs, expectations, and goals. And I think that right there, if what do I need from you? What do I expect from you? What do I hope that can happen with each other? And then what are my goals? What are your goals? And do they align? Because so many times people want to be in a relationship, but and they'll be in the relationship for relationship, I call it relationship sake, to say I
I call it
have
I call it
somebody.
I call it the Jennifer Lopez syndrome. She's always in relationship, always
Lord
waiting.
have mercy.
I'm like, give yourself a break. Take a break. Like, just take a break. Like,
Because some
you
people
should
don't
just
like
like
to
she
be
could.
alone.
Yeah.
Listen, I know a lot of people like that. Have friends like that. They constantly like learn how to take a break. But like you said, some people just can't be by themselves. I'm like, well, but I
Hmm.
call it the Jennifer
And I
Lopez
think you have
syndrome.
two sides of it. You have those that can't be alone, and those that could be alone for so long that they be like, "Wait a minute, hold on, how do I get to
I'm
this?"
like, how I get
Then
to
they,
this? Like what's going on here? Well, how I get to this?
Hmm. Yeah.
And
they
you
start,
start like,
start
"Go
singing the Deborah
away."
Conway
So
on How Did You Get Here? Nobody's supposed to
Yeah.
be here. Let's go.
Is that?
In my
That's my favorite.
house.
That's a
So
great song. That's a great song. But it's true.
so
True
I
song.
do think that is a part that we have to learn, whether you're that person who needs someone constantly or
Hmm.
you're the person that's like, I'm good. When you
Yeah.
really desire a relationship, you just want the right relationship. And again, not a perfect relationship because no one's
Exactly.
perfect, but I always say I want the person that's perfect for me.
Hmm.
So their
Right.
imperfection and my imperfections, we're perfectly imperfect imperfection, but we're perfect for each other,
Perfection
that I can
Right.
tolerate whatever it
for each other.
is his level, and he can
Mhm.
tolerate whatever my
Agree.
level is. But being in a relationship for the sake of just saying I have someone, I'm like, nah. I'm, as the young people say, I'm good on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It has to be purpose, and you have to realize, even from another level, can the person you're with handle the call that's on your life? Do they have the
Hmm.
capacity for who you are, and will they allow you to be you in that
Yeah.
process? And it doesn't mean you're not taken away, you're not in competition, you're in collaboration, and what you have helps them grow and vice versa. So I think that as Lady Dawn B says, at this big old age, it's
this
like,
one.
can we
Yeah.
can we work together? Can we labor together in whatever the goals are for our lives? With having, yes, we're going to have conflict, but we're not petty. We're not doing petty LaBelle. We are going to be together.
Eddie
We're going to
Pendergraft.
understand, like, petty Pendergraft, like, and petty LaBelle. So with that being said, can we walk together and agree, right? Again, I think that this show has been a great show tonight. I
Yeah.
know,
Thank you
y'all
for
know I'm
having
gonna cut
me.
us off. Hey, Tyson.
Yeah, we
But
got a few
before
comments
we
to get to.
wrap, okay, let's get these comments. Um, William Michael Barbie says self-awareness is very important when it comes to success in a relationship. You have to be
Hmm.
self-aware, but I also you have to be able to open up your mouth, because I can know all of these things about
Yeah.
myself, but if I don't tell the other person,
Yeah.
therein
They won't
lies the
know.
problem.
They won't know.
He
Yeah.
also says, whatever happened to the courting process, right? Yeah. While it is good to be intentional about your plans for the relationship, articulating them can compromise the natural growth. I mean, I think you do this understanding. I mean, you don't meet somebody up front and be like, it's date one. Do you think we're gonna get married? No.
Right.
You
Yeah.
go through the courting to see, do we get along? And if you're
Yeah.
not in that stage where you're trying to, because some, and I'm going to say this, some women just want to get married because they be like,
For the
I've
sake of
never been
marriage.
married, I
Yeah.
want to get married before.
Hmm.
So they want
And just and
the
to say I have
event.
a husband. Like, oh, I got a husband.
Right.
Yeah.
So right, I just want to get married, I want to say I have a husband, and whatever it is. No, I'm talking about people who really say, I want my life partner, I want to do life with you.
Yes.
Right.
Good, bad, or
Feeling like,
indifferent. I'm willing to be there with you and vice versa. We are going to do life together, not the wedding, not the reception, not
Yeah.
the hooplas and the
Yeah. Like who
celebrations.
high?
If that
Yeah.
comes with it, that's fine. But ultimately, I want to be able to be myself with you, and you love me for who I am and who I'm not, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
We got a super chat.
Ooh. Woo-hoo.
Bravo, Wishy. It's so important to be clear and true to yourself. This helps parties. Absolutely. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where we need to land and be able to say, um, you know, this is me. And especially at this point in life, we're not 20 anymore. We're
Exactly.
not 30
well,
anymore. Hey,
You're not
we ain't
40 no
40
more.
anymore. So when you
ain't
start looking at
even no more.
life, what happened?
I
You
said,
said
shoot,
we
we
ain't
ain't
50 no
even
more?
no, we're closer to 60 right about now.
Yeah.
We
Like I'm
have
Wait
half
a
a
minute,
we
mistakes
half a
ahead
Lady
of
century.
I'm
us
gonna
than
say
we
Like
have
half
speak
a
for
behind
century
yourself.
us.
now.
but even with that, being at this point, to be able to say, I love you, you love me, we're going to work together, we're going to work this out once we realize we are compatible for each other. Not
Mm-hmm.
just saying, hey, you available, I'm available, let's be together. That's not how it
Yeah.
works, because
And
you'll
don't take
find
it
yourself
personal.
right,
Don't take
Yeah.
it
because
personally.
everybody's not your person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
And
like I
that's
said. Like
okay.
sometimes you can leave somebody alone. Listen, I don't want to be in a relationship. No, let's bygones be bygones. No.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a tough conversation to have, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Just dragging somebody along. And you, as you said, as
Right.
you said, because Elaine, like you mentally checked out. It's like, so why am I dragging this along? Like for the sake of being in a relationship? Like, yeah, I'm not doing this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Steph says, I think people should take breaks too before jumping into another relationship. I think people need time to heal. I totally agree. You
Yes.
need to
I
know,
said that.
I've
Yes.
written in a book,
Yeah.
um, with Coach Pache, we wrote a book called Letting Go from Moving from Broken to Beautiful. And in that book, I did talk about I had to
Uh-huh.
learn what I liked, because after 14 years of marriage, I had no clue what I liked. It
Who
was
you
more
were?
of like what I
Yeah. Yeah.
compromised and said, okay, I'll do it. If he
Uh-huh.
wants to do it, I'll do this. I'll do that. And it took me time. Like I was like, I don't like the movies. It took me some time. I was like, if somebody asked me to go to the movies, I'm like, no, but we did that as a part of our date night. But after I was like, I don't really watch television. So it's very
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
hard for me to sit and watch a movie unless it's like something I really want to see. But every week to go to a movie, it was overkill for me. It was too much. All
Mm-hmm.
right. We have a few more comments, and then we are going to William Michael Barbie says, you must get to know the other person before saying that's the one you want to date. If you go back to Lady Dawn's perspective on relationships, you can misjudge someone's good intentions for it. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay, let's see. We go.
Tyson said
So
another great
like you
show. The
said, like when
perspectives.
God say let's mm, mm. Like you said when God said let's see what this goes, that's basically what it means. Like I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying to test the waters. Like are we compatible or are we not compatible? So it's
And
not
then
a
ladies,
bad reference when God said that.
okay. And ladies,
Let's
I
see.
say when they say that, you still keep dating until he figures out that he
Mm-hmm.
wants you not to be single anymore.
Right.
So,
Because
Mm.
a date
so
is a
Tyson
date.
right. As Tyson told us before. So he says another great show, the aspect of having a mat
A
who
mate, I
can
think.
embrace a mate. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
A mate who can embrace each other's purpose. I don't know what I know lifestyle, I believe that was
Mhm.
what it was. And then next we have William Michael Barbie. He says, "At Terrence, stop agreeing with your cousin. Laugh out." Listen, when I speak truth, you
It's in the
can't argue.
blood. It's in the blood. I can't help it.
Right.
It's in the blood. I
So
was raised well. I
again,
was raised well by all the women in my family.
that's right. So we say it's been another great night with Mondays Beyond the Mic with Bravo with
That's a
Sheila.
fact.
If you have not, please again click, like, share, subscribe. Before we end, I would like everyone to just give your last saying. You could tell us how to find you on your show, Lady Dawn B. Lisa, you can tell us a little bit about your walk or where they can find you. And cuz
Mhm.
I know if anybody knows, that's the workout man right there. We got stories. But anyway, so we'll go with Terrence. If you have, we'll start with you.
No, I was gonna say it was a great show. Thanks for having me, and you always find me on social media. I'm always out there, promoting some positivity on my page. Everything's all about love and happiness, and I believe in God and Jesus. So that what you're about.
And
I'm
he's
there
a
for you.
great dancer.
Yes, I'm a good
He's
dancer. Yes,
always
I'm a
dancing.
dancing postman.
Yes. All right, Lisa.
So I'm currently walking across America for mental fitness and suicide awareness. I started in January in Los Angeles, and I'm currently in Louisiana, in a campground because I twisted my ankle. So I'm stuck here for a few days. But you
Oh
can
no.
find me at www.keepmepostedtoday.com. So it's keepmepostedtoday.com. And you can see what I'm doing and some of the stories I have. I write some blogs and articles and I post them on my social media, and you can find all that on that website as well. And thank you so much for having me. I love your show. I'm always excited to tune in, and I'm getting all of my West Point moms. There's 9,000 of them on one Facebook page. I'm making sure that they're tuning in if I can. Um,
Oh, well,
I think it's an
awesome.
important show to have. Thank you so much for including me.
Oh, absolutely. And we thank you. And I thank you for the beautiful article you wrote,
Oh,
Yeah.
my
Lady
pleasure.
John
Thanks
B.
for the inspiration.
Well, I can be found right here on Monday nights, right beside Dr. E. But I can also be found here on Thursday night. Yeah, I was pointing. I was like, I'm not sure which side she go right there. That's y'all know what I'm saying. But you can find me here every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Thursday nights with me, your girl, Lady Dawn B. You can also find me on TikTok as Lady Dawn B. Facebook, Dawn D. Brathwaite, and IG is Bronx Girl Dawn B. So I'm just everywhere. You find me in one place, you'll find me in another. And I would just say, lastly, in our relationships, just make sure that you find the one that you can lock in with like puzzle pieces, and just stick it out, stick together and let it, continue to build and make a beautiful picture. Um, William Michael Barbie says, what do you say? Leave
He
more
said,
than.
leave. That is his mantra. And I would say, to your point, as we close the show, Lady Dawn B, one of my favorite movies is Just Right. And the line in that movie when he says, why are you alone? Or why are you not matched up with someone? And she says, I want the person, I don't want someone who I can live with. I want the person I can't live without. So with that, we say good night and God bless.
Good night. God bless. Have a good one. Thank
Nice.
you.
All I do is try to construe this life.